Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles summon pool has started, so Plarium is giving us yet another chance to pick up some of these Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles characters during the collaboration. I'm sure there will be more events to come, and some have already passed, and the Donatello fusion is still going on. So in this event, you can get Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, or April, alongside a bunch of other legendary and epic champions that have already been in the game for a while. And in this video I'm going to take a deep dive into the event, all the probabilities, all the odds, everything you need to know. First, thank you Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video and for providing me with this wonderful promo link. Look no further if you need a new Raid Shadow Legends account. Down below in the description, here in the QR code, you can get a new account that gives you Deacon Armstrong after the tutorial, Uugo at 15, Tagoar at 20, Zargala at 30. A wonderful start to the game. But the summon pool. Let's take a look at the summon pool. The headline champions, this time headline champions have only 1.5% chance. Usually it's 2% chance. And then if there's just one headline champion, then that one has 2% chance to be pulled. But 4 champions dividing that 1.5% chance, it means 0.375% chance each. Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, April. And also you kind of really want Leonardo or Raphael if you have done the Donatello fusion, for example. And then April has already been available in a different shard event. And April is also doesn't have those turtle synergies. She has some kind of unique PvP style kit, but not really meta at the moment. So I'm not sure how useful April really is. Of course, in addition to these characters, there are also some old-fashioned legendaries here. There's Minaya, Contra, Dragomorph, Corvus, Roshgard, Richthof, Krokmar, and Valkyrie. So a couple of good ones there as well. But 94% of the time you will be pulling epics. However, there are some sweet epics in this pool. There's Lady Quillen, Mordecai, Venomage, Amina, Aina, Jarek, Elfric, Delaya, Phoenix, Beacon, Stag Knight, and Farakin in the pool. 12 epics. And the way this works, the way you gain access to this, the way you get to pull this, is either you buy them from the shop. They cost €6 for 20, around €12 for 40. 40 is needed for a pull, so it's around €12 per pull that you do if you buy them from the shop. And you can also get limited quantities from events. So far there's one event going on right now that gives you 40 crystals, so just enough for a single pull. And we'll see if there's going to be other events. There probably is going to be at least one other event for this one. But how likely are you to get some of the good stuff? Well, there are 5 champions that you would be really happy to pull, typically at least. There's Leonardo, there's Raphael, there's Donatello. Raphael is kind of the weakest of the turtles, but if you can have multiple turtles, you can have that turtle synergy that just makes everything so good. And of course, Donatello, if you completed the fusion, then you kind of don't want to get a double, but we'll see about that. And then there's Dragomorph and Valkyrie, a couple of really superb legendaries. So the probability that get one of these 5 is 2.25%. Then there's also a bunch of strong pulls. So there's more strong legendaries, Krokmar, Corvus, Richthof, Minaya. Pretty strong, all of them, and also some absolutely top tier epics with Venomage, Deacon, Stag Knight, and Farakin. So if you don't already have these epics, then this can be a pretty good opportunity to pick some of those up. The probability that you can get the strong pull is 33.6%. So overall you have around 36% to get a superb or strong pull. So 36% to walk away pretty happy. With another 40% to get an okay pull, so something that, alright, you might find some uses for this, but I mean, you could have done better, but you could have done worse. Because there's Contra, Roshgard, there's April, and then some of the epics, Phoenix, Jarek, Delaya, Mordecai, and Armina, who are quite alright. But even in this pool, there are a couple of low rolls. There are typically not many low rolls in these summon pools, and not many low rolls this time either, because there's only really Lady Quillen, Aina, and Eolfric who are not very useful. And Lady Quillen and Eolfric are both part of the Lady Mikage fusion. So if you haven't done that fusion yet, and if you don't have these fusion pieces, then you might actually be happy even when pulling one of those. So pretty strong pool overall. So each Prism Shard that you pull is like a curated sacred shard. It's better than a regular sacred shard because the pool is stronger. There are very few weak rolls here, quite a lot of good rolls, but you of course cannot combine these with a double event, so you only have that 94% for an epic and 6% for a legendary. €12 price, it's also lower than Sacred Shards most of the time, so this is fairly effective when it comes to considering just buying champions. But the odds to pick up a turtle, they are low, so you probably don't want to go into this with the idea that, hey, I am going to get one of those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle characters. And even if you do, you might hit Donatello, and if you have done the fusion, then that would kind of suck. Because the odds to pick up a specific turtle, if you try 100 times, so that's €1,200, that's only 31.3%. 200 times, that's 52.9%. 500 times, 84.8%. You're still nowhere near guaranteed to get that Leonardo. So on average, it takes 266 attempts to find a specific turtle out of this pool. But yeah, I wouldn't really pursue it in that way. I've also seen discussions on like Reddit, for example, people are saying, oh, it's so expensive, it's so incredibly expensive, oh, this is such a terrible event. And it really depends on your perspective, because yeah, if you think that, hey, I'm going to take Leonardo from this event, the event is pretty terrible for you. But if you don't have some of those good epics, for example, in this one, and you pull a few Sacred Shards, or a few Prism Shards in this case, then the event can actually be pretty good for you, because even the weaker pulls are fairly strong. But yeah, trying to get that one specific thing out of this, then that can be very, very hard. And you don't necessarily have to pay anything to get a try. The first event that awards Prism Crystals is live right now. It's a Gear Ascension tournament. Clear Sand Devil and Phantom Shogun, get oils and extracts, and earn tournament points to get rewards. For whatever reason, you get more points for extracts than you get for oils for the bigger ones. The smaller ones give the same amount of points, even though the drop rates are the same. So I did a little bit of math on how much energy you can expect to spend in order to get the rewards from the Gear Ascension tournament. And it really depends, of course, on the point threshold that you have, and then on the stage that you can farm. Because the higher your account level, the more points you need for the final reward. If you're in the 40s, you can do with 5,900 points. In the 50s, 60s, 70s, 6,900 points. In the 90s, you need 9,000 points. And if you have a level 100 account, you need 12,100 points for the reward. And then typically you want to farm stages that are just before the energy cost increases. That's typically the most efficient. So those would be stages 3, 7, 11, 16. In Sand Devil and Phantom Shogun, they're a little bit different from the gear dungeons like Fire Knight, in that stages 14 and 15 are actually better than 11 already, although 12 and 13 are not. And then stage 20 is not good. Stage 20 is typically like a gold standard for farming something like Dragon, but not for Sand Devil or Phantom Grow. You don't want to do 20. 20 is bad. And if you can do 16, then the next time that you can do better than 16 would be stage 23. So from there and up. But then it just depends on which stage you're able to farm and what is the point threshold that you need to reach. So you're looking forward to farming something like between 2,000 and 4,000 energy worth of these dungeons in order to get where you need to be. But you can see from the table for your specific situation, what can you farm, how many points do you need, how much energy it would take. So obviously spending that much energy in 3 days is a pretty major task. So this is not an easy one, not an easy tournament by any means, although it is possible, it is doable. So that kind of summon pool, I really, really want to get my hands on some of these Prism Shards. We'll see if I can. The Gear Ascension tournament is pretty rough. I hope there will be another event that will be a little bit easier, but anyway, we'll see. They are still a good pool of stuff out there, and if you don't have those top tier epics, for example, this can be an excellent time to pick some up. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.